Welcome to our next episode of the Flare Factor. And today we are here with Guy from OpenOcean, and we'll be diving into how OpenOcean is going to join us on the Flare network. Welcome, Guy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's. I tell you what, it's always a delight to be on different spaces like this, to reach out to new communities, and to also get a fresh batch of questions from new and interested users. So delighted to be here. I'm delighted for the launch. We can't wait. Thank you very much for the invite.
Awesome. All right. Before we dive into OpenOcean and what it's going to do for us on Flare, I'll just go through a couple of quick updates. So good news, an FTSO feed for SFlare is coming. The vote went through, so this should be, I guess, within a couple of days, maybe a week. After which protocols in Flare can simply use the FTSO feed instead of calculate off our smart contract. So that is something we are happy with. Then the Flare Fair is going on, and we have a couple of guides for everybody in the community that might help you to maximize your rewards with SFlare. So check them out. And as a last but not least, Flare and Google are sponsoring a hackathon in Berkeley University with 100K USD in prizes, and part of that is for online participants. So go check that out. I think the address is here. Yeah, hackathon.flare.network, and then you can learn anything and everything about that. All right, Guy, tell us about yourself and about OpenOcean.
Thanks, man. Oh God, where to begin? Well, I'm going to do my best and try and not bore everybody to death. So I'll try and keep it short and sweet. Let's see. I've been in this space for this is my 5th year. Joined in 2020, just when everything was starting to get really fun. As with anybody who kind of comes into this space from a non-tech background, I probably started off quite sternly as an avid community member. And if you can tell from the profile picture on my hat, it's a throwback to Luna, Terra, and the UST days. While it's a little bit of a sore subject now, I have that to thank for my route into this industry and for the massive amount of connections I already made. So I joined OpenOcean in 2022. First off, as the community manager. So first off, my role was to curate, work with the OpenOcean community, to foster a more cohesive environment amongst our users, but also to educate about the platform, what we do, our uses, and sort of where the general idea of OpenOcean was going. So fast forward to today, I'm very thankful to work at the head of an amazing business development team. I think it's when you kind of work in the industry you're really passionate about, you're more than happy to kind of jump to other opportunities that present themselves to you and say yes. So I was more than delighted to jump on board and start working with, like I say, the OpenOcean BD team. And now we're at a point where I get to direct vision, where we spend our resources, and more importantly, reaching out to fantastic partners that we integrate with, such as Flare Network, and having those really important discussions about, where we want to build, why we want to build it, and who we want to support along the way. So yeah, it's a journey filled with ups and downs, hacks, drains, lucky 100x's and round tripping the whole entire wallet a few times. So I wouldn't change any of it for the world. But I think being here at the forefront and being ready to see the kind of space grow and evolve, yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way.
All right. Yeah. That sounds like quite the trip you had in blockchain. I think a lot of people will probably at least, recognize some of that, the good and the bad.
Yeah, as I say, like if you float around for long enough, you will come across one of these, or at least know somebody that has. And we laugh about it now, but with every setback, we can kind of pick up, dust ourselves off, and hopefully learn something from it for the next time.
Absolutely, and only that way we can create those, protocols, those platforms that actually eventually make sense. I think we've kind of grown out of the baby shoes of blockchain and are now really trying to make things that are actually useful to people, not just fun or interesting, like a curiosity, but it actually has to be useful. There needs to be some utility to it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't want to sound like I'm moaning too much. I feel like we fragmented with the meme market slightly, but that's just, I guess, another adaptation of a modern day casino in some would say the ultimate permissionless form. So love it or hate it, it is what it is. But with the serious builders, I mean, we're thankful enough that OpenOcean is supported on 34 different blockchains, right? So with a lot of other dApps in the space, who might allocate all their resources to saying, we want to really push for the ZK environment, or we want to really push for to support unique L1 networks or just proof of stake. We try and support everybody. So when you have exposure to different blockchains and the amazing different communities, you kind of see what the real builders are building. You kind of know, you get a good rough idea of what's being worked on, and you think, that's actually amazing. Like the real developments that are coming in time. Like I'm a super big fan of abstraction, so I love seeing the developments in that side of the field. But OpenOcean, like I say, widely supported, so we're so lucky that we get that exposure. But yeah, builders keep building in the market, and they're doing such a fantastic job at the moment. So my hat's off.
Yeah, it sounds like you get to see a lot, and you can combine all those ideas and try to. It puts you really in a central position, as I hear it from you, because between 34, did you say, networks?
Mm-hmm. With Flare we go up to 35, so that will be an awesome round number.
Beautiful. So tell us a little bit more about OpenOcean. What is it?
Yeah, so I mean, on the surface, we are a DEX aggregator. But to dive into that a little bit more, what an aggregator does is we essentially help traders, we help networks, and we help platforms and dApps. So I'll rewind a little bit. Back in, let's say 2020, 2021, the on-chain DEX space was very isolated. You have pockets of liquidity. So you would have, let's say, DEX A with 30 million in liquidity, DEX B with 20 million, and DEX C with 10 million. But each of those DEXs has a varying quantity of tokens, a varying amount of tokens, and there's various amount of liquidity pools. So when you usually go and use a DEX, what you do is you'll load up and you'll load up your swap. I want to do 100 USDT to ETH, for example, and it might route the transaction through that DEX. Fantastic. But let's say you want to do a larger swap, let's say like $1,000 or $2,000. So you load up that same swap, but now you're noticing there's increased slippage, right? Because what you're trying to do is draw down too much from that liquidity pool. So with a DEX aggregator, what we do is you come to us instead and you say, hey, I want to do this $1,000 transaction, and we'll say, fantastic. We're going to route 70% of that trade to DEX A and 30% of that trade to DEX B. And what we do by split routing parts of those trades is we help the users essentially not only get more value for their money, we provide an increased safety blanket, right? Because we're not flagging up large transactions on chain for MEV attackers to intercept that transaction. And we're also we're democratizing the volume access to those DEXs on chain. So where instead of DEX A maybe hoovering up 80% of all available swaps on the chain, just because they have, I don't know, a better marketing campaign, right? And an aggregator will split that liquidity where the best value and the best efficiency is. So that's what we launched in the market to do. We launched in the market to help traders, i.e. help them get the best returns for their swaps. We don't put any additional fees on swaps or anything. We're here for platforms, so we can dive into this a little bit as well. And that means that platforms use our tools to help level up their own services. So that means either provide more features on their website, either provide access to swaps, or maybe it's about providing like enhanced bridge routes, so being able to support more tokens that way. So we work in the market with loads of different blockchains. So our moniker has always tried to be the widest reaching DEX aggregator. And there are a lot of other aggregators in the space, and we pride ourselves on a few things. So that is network selection, i.e. being able to have the widest selection of possible networks. Number two, making sure that we have a 99% liquidity coverage on every single chain, meaning that we have every liquidity pool indexed, ready to go. And number three, providing a safe and secure trading environment for our users. So a lot of our tools that would normally require custody through third-party apps are, for the most part, non-custodial when it comes to interacting with OpenOcean. So we have loads of tools on the front end, so you can come to the OpenOcean DApp, like load up a swap and just do that, or use any of the other tools that we have available, or even the API, which is what most of the partners do. So that's kind of like the sort of genesis of the OpenOcean platform. We came about to kind of plug that hole in the market and make accessibility better for users. And we're just gonna, we're in a really good place right now for growth, and we want to double down on that for the next sort of 2-3 years, and kind of see what the market takes us, and be there to support everybody in our immediate vicinity who currently use our services.
All right, it sounds really good. I think you are going to be the first DEX aggregator on Flare Network, right?
Yes, yeah, the first DEX aggregator.
And a lot of people might not exactly know what that is. I might have thought about that a couple of months ago as well, but I've actually used some of them, and I found them to be really helpful in finding a good price. And as you say, like it works in your favor when it comes to things like price impact. It also, I guess, works in the favor of the network, as you're basically doing a bit of arbitrage at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not a bad thing, although of course some of the users who have been doing that manually will have a harder time doing that.
Well, they can, you know what, if users want to run their own arbing strat, like one thing that we see is really popular is people accessing our API just to run on-chain arbing strategies. And we have we have an open API, but if you come and speak to us, we can give you an API to start interacting with on-chain. And I mean, we have independent traders doing upwards of like $4 to $5 million a day on sort of slightly obscure L2 networks that we support. So like the ability is there to use the API to arb. So in some ways, this might actually be a benefit to Flare network users. I mean, that's at least what we're trying to go for anyway. We're not trying to, we're not trying to replace anything. We're just trying to be a complementary.
Yeah. All right. So that's an opportunity that people can pick up right now, to start using that if they want to, and to build something on top of it. I guess that's what you said, right? You're looking for the builders, but you're basically also handing them a lot of building blocks.
Yes, absolutely. So I mean, we're already in the process, and I think the Scepter team is definitely on board in that regard. At having the initial talks for essentially sharing the access to the API and the tools on the network. Now, in our sort of talks with the Flare ecosystem team, they were stressing that these, API access and the addition of these extra tools is nothing but a net benefit for the website. We're talking things like being able to zap into a specific liquidity positions with any token, expanding the bridgeable token subset through our existing partners. It's like things like that is just really, really good. And not to mention, the one really good thing about having such an existing, like such a sort of wide partner scope, is that by launching on Flare Network, we instantly support one of our existing partners as a bridge route. So like through Rubik, right? So Rubik already supports Flare Network. As soon as OpenOcean is live with that interoperability, we're essentially now allowing the OpenOcean swap to take part on any side of that transaction. So we are dramatically increasing the bridgeable token subset. And by extension, Rubik users, Flare users, and all those who use that dApp then benefit from that sort of extra swap routes available and the extra tools that we're hoping to bring on. But yeah, it's things like one-click zaps, any token minting of stable coins and things like this. Anything where we can sort of put a swap in the interim is a place where we can improve user experience or improve a user's journey. How many times have you been to a website and they say, "Oh, like buy our token," and you click it and it just goes to Uniswap? And I'm like, what? Why send someone to Uniswap? You're making them pay the Uniswap front end fee. You're sending them off your website. You're interrupting their journey, and you hope they have to come back and do what they initially wanted to do. I was like, make it simple, bring everything back sort of into one interface. And that's essentially what we try and go for. We succeed when the people we work with succeed.
Yeah. I guess we are a little familiar with that, Scepter, as we've actually did that. We did that with Kinetic. We worked together with them so that when people come there with their regular Flare or red Flare to supply it, because they have an S-Flare pool, it basically tells them to stake it first, but that's integrated into the UI, so they don't have to leave first and go and stake it somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah. See, you guys totally get it. And again, that's all this comes down to is crafting the unique user experience. There are some AAA dApps in the space. You can go onto their homepage and you're like, how do I enter the dApp? I'm like looking for the floating button that lets me find the dApp, and I have to hunt around for it. And I'm like, the UX shouldn't be that hard. We should be in a place of simplifying. This is already a complicated enough industry as it is. We should be in a process of simplifying access, simplifying the user's journeys through sites, and then we, can hope to onboard more people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've said this also quite often to many people in this space that if you don't understand everything already, like your first step normally is a central exchange, and then maybe at some point you move on further, but you almost need like a couple of friends to hold your hands to move into the space and tell you like what's what, because it's crazy how many apps there are, and it's also crazy how many false apps there are. And if this could be made easier for people to just be able to use blockchain without learning to jump through hoops, having 50 wallets, and
I think
there are more people who would be interested in.
You're right. And I think that's something that we kind of realized like in 2023. We were like, we're counting on like most OpenOcean users coming to the front end. So first of all, they have to find us, or we have to do a good enough job marketing ourselves for them to find us, right? Where if we just power the back end, not only do we save, obviously we still have the hosted front end that still accounts for 20% of volume, but we can concentrate on making the access as good as it can be via API, and thus we are doing our part to contribute towards the sort of easing of use for people by providing the infra that people might have in their wallets. So like when users load up MetaMask and they just go, I want to swap this to this, and they just load it up, and they don't care who it's using. They don't get told who the provider is. They just go, yep, I want this, done, signed. You know, it's in our interest to bring the efficiency as one of the swap providers for like MetaMask, to make sure that when that user does, you know, swap that little bit of USDT or whatever asset he's doing, it's going to be at the best price. We don't necessarily need the attribution from MetaMask for them to see who the provider is. They don't really care at the end of the day. They just want to go with the best provider. So that's our kind of shortcut, right? Providing the best on-chain pricing and hoping that that's the way we can grow through, you know, just by kind of showing our skill. So yeah, but I mean, it's the same kind of experience with the crypto market. Like look at Revolut with the, you know, you don't know which OTC counters you're interacting with. You don't, none of that. They just go, I want this, buy it. Yep, cool, done. So it's the facilitator that's kind of operating through that window of the provider. And that's what we want to be there for. So yeah, I think 2025 is on track to be a fantastic year for growth, and we're kickstarting that massively by launching on Flare, and that's our hope, to kind of help up introduce new tools that are available to the network, and as well interact with the community, maybe onboard a few members from our side to Flare, and as well vice versa.
All right, I know I'm really looking forward to seeing your platform on Flare,
Yes.
both integrated and hopefully also floating around as that squid is doing.
Let's see if we can share the window.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So please show us what we're gonna get.
So no infinity mirror at the moment. So yes, we did have a revamp of the OpenOcean UI. As you might notice, our happy friendly squid greeting you here. Access every AMM, the one-stop decentralized trading solution that you need. So we tried to make this kind of all-encompassing with as many different features as you would need. So launching app dives you straight into the OpenOcean app, where you can start selecting which chain you want to trade on, and the OpenOcean API takes you to our docs. And as well, here we have different campaigns that we're touching on, as well as all the news releases, to launching on new networks. And then we have the various features of the OpenOcean website. So the DEX aggregator, and again, I will show these tools in detail a little bit more. 30 plus chains, best prices with smart order routing. Again, we're using an in-house algorithm, which is completely unique to OpenOcean. So we're not using a fork. This is completely our own code. Everything in-house, everything native. Gasless limit orders. These are absolutely fantastic. Being able to place limit orders without paying any gas fees. And again, completely non-custodial. So you could set buys and sells completely up a different price curve, all to your own kind of whim, and we fulfill that swap for you. Dollar cost averaging. This was a brand new tool that we released. So far, it's only available on 2 out of the 34 chains, only because there is a lot of work required to bring on-chain DCAs to the market, mostly because every single time we have to execute, we are utilizing different DEX index, and obviously conditions can be quite volatile on certain networks. So again, I will show off the UI for this, but it is only available on 2 networks, but we are expanding the subset of networks this is available on. The V4 Lightning API and SDK. So I mentioned the API and SDK earlier. OpenOcean API currently is on V4. That's what we've been live on for the last 6 months. V4 is our most competitive API to date. This API is what's in use on MetaMask, Rabi Wallet, Li-Fi, dBridge, Socket, Relay, you name it, and they utilize us at some point underneath the hood, and that will be the V4 Lightning SDK. Just excuse me, I'm just going to take a sip of water here. Cross-chain swaps. We're currently upgrading our cross-chain swaps. So the front-end cross-chain swaps are currently unavailable, but we still have back-end cross-chain swaps available via API, but front-end is down just while we upgrade the process. And again, so these are the little extra features we have. We'll dive into these. Deposit and earn. This essentially is an overview to different yield strategies provided by close partners of ours. So these are cherry-picked yield strategies that we know either through trusted providers, good third parties, or ones that are providing very good returns on rates. Again, the farms and vaults, whilst we don't have very many farms and vaults available directly on OpenOcean, we are more an indexer of liquidity rather than a hoster of liquidity. You can currently farm our OOE BNB token at 25.3%, OOE ETH, and contribute towards OOE staking and governance. With staking and governance, you do earn a passive income on your staked OOE, as well as having a right in your say in what's going on the OpenOcean platform. Again, I'm not going to go into all of these too much. You can go and have a look at these. Sweep swap is like a multi-token swap where we take all the dust out of your wallet. We have other features such as a batch token sender, revoking approvals if there are any hacks or security events, and you want to make sure you are all secure. Switching your RPC endpoints at will, recommended for medium to pro users if you know what you're doing in regards to RPCs, and Info Hub, which kind of gives you a real-time overview of the not just OpenOcean but the wider network in general. And again, if you keep scrolling down, you can see the list of backers. So OpenOcean was a Binance Labs incepted project. We were building since 2019. And we launched in 2021. So let's open up the DEX aggregator here. So as we can see, I didn't actually want to talk about this too much. We have secretly rolled Flare live. So if everyone is, I didn't want to mention. So we hit the announcements. The announcements for this start tomorrow. I wanted to demo it on stream to be the first ones to show it. So
all right,
we're really happy.
It's capture the URL. Capture the URL.
It's like I say, we haven't rolled it yet. We're still doing final testing on it. So it has been rolled to production environment. No no information has been released, only because we're still doing some final testing on this. So initially what we have from the outset is BlazeSwap, Enosys v2, v3, SparkDex v2, and v3 as well. So like I said, we still are sorting out one of the RPC providers, which is why please don't bombard and go and load us up with tons of quotes. Like I said, this is still very, very early days. This will be, I believe, is getting pushed to production tomorrow 11 a.m. So you will be able to find Flare, but the final version will be rolled tomorrow. So you have line charts. Again, we have an integration with TradingView, so you can do all your I'm not good at charts at all, but you can do all your fancy breakout lines and things like this. There's people who actually do TA are going to be cursing at me in the comments for that. Again, so yes, token set increasing. What I'm going to do is jump to essentially what this will look like once we have launch and once we have DCA up and running as well. So you can see here you get token subset, pretty much every single token you would want to change, you would want to trade. You can then go and look at these individual tokens separately, load them up into your MetaMask. I'm not connecting my wallet at the moment, just for safety and security reasons. So as you can see here, these are all the different chains that we support. So again, we haven't talked about this, but this is not really interesting for here. There are other test nets and other chains that are launched. Obviously, we're all interested in Flare. Let's go and start Flare, so it sits at the top. Fantastic. Yeah. So just a little utilization of what our DCA is, so we can allocate. Let's pretend this is Flare. So we wanted to do an on-chain DCA. We're gonna use 100 USDCE to buy this token, the Infidel token at the moment. Trade interval is going to be, we can set this whatever we want. So we're going to do 20 different orders, and we can see here this is all changing real time. So if we drop that down to 10 orders, we can see amount per order goes down to 10 USDC. So this is, again, completely non-custodial. We don't hold any of your tokens, and it completely executes at whenever you want it to. So we go back to the market. Fantastic. And again, so what we're doing here is also loading up comparisons of other providers in this space. So on this particular swap, we can see that OpenOcean is providing the best output along with SilverSwap, but then we're also beating WAGMI, SwapXCL, and Thick by these different amounts. So you can see no matter which network you go on and you load that up, you'll see exactly the same. So Uniswap, Shiba, Sushi, Uni, when we're doing a transaction like this. And you see it's a nice, fast, kind of rapid, responsive interface. So yeah, make sure you come and check tomorrow when we have the final version of Flare rolled to the front end. Again, very quickly go into some of the other tools that we have available here. So this is Perps on OpenOcean. This is provided through a couple different providers. Mostly we use Hyperliquid, so you can open this up and have direct access to all your favorite long, shorts, perps, and trading on Hyperliquid directly from the OpenOcean interface. Again, this is all part of the subset of features that we try and feature to have under one sort of cohesive interface. As I said, cross-chain swaps are currently being upgraded, but the final version for cross-chain swaps, I believe, will be live start to mid-March when we've completed that upgrade. So we've shown you the dollar cost averaging. We'll look up the gasless limit orders. So we can see here, with a little disclaimer, there is a possibility that your limit order might not get filled instantly, and you can go and read about that here, mostly because when we try and save our users money, most of the limit orders we find the utilization coming on Ethereum is all about looking to save that gas. So if we want to sell one WETH, when we think ETH is going to give us a nice pump, we'll sell that at $3,000. And then we can go ahead, connect, and we can just leave that limit order open indefinitely. And now, for the duration that this is open, you keep custody of that WETH the whole entire time. Right, that is completely yours. We don't take it, we don't hold it. So that, again, one of the great things we think with limit orders that we're introducing, and what we will introduce on Flare as well within the UI. And again, this will be available via API. So touching on APIs, I mentioned that the OpenOcean tools are in use on multiple different websites. So I'll very quickly show a few of those off here right now. So for any budding builders, either Flare native or not Flare native, if you want to launch on Flare Network and you're like, right, I want an API to be able to provide me on-chain quoting, or I want an API to be able to do swaps, or like limit orders when the feature is live, come and knock on our door, and we can have that conversation about getting you set up. Sorry, just having another sip of water. And so our tools are in use right across the space, like I say, from MetaMask swaps, Ravi Wallet swaps, and then we're also visible on front ends for things like this. So in collaboration with Algebra, we do things like routing. So that is combining V2 and V3 dexes. And I believe actually there was a question in StreamYard, sorry for the Infinity Mirror, about what is the offer that OpenOcean brings to Flare when, instead of just using SparkDex, or instead of just using NSS by itself. And again, I want to touch back on that split routing. So again, this is what we do here with Camelot by essentially being able to facilitate trading between multi-version pools, so like V2 and V3 pools. So this is an example of our on-chain routing when used by another third party, and I'll just go over a few other of our partners who use us. So we even provide things like trade widgets. So whether that be for a meme token or a network token or a governance token, whatever you want to do, we can provide a kind of nice, concise, thorough interface all for you. So you see the price, names, a little bit about the token, and these are our widgets that we provide via iframes and integratable in a very quick amount of time. And then we have things like DCA done through Alienbase. Again, remember that the interface I showed you, that is all doable directly through the OpenOcean API, and it's in utilization here. And along with things like one of our latest partners to come on board, which is Suzaku, which allows you to directly stake in any token into their like liquid staking pools. And again, these are features that we are hoping to introduce to the Flare market and to make available for, you know, Kinetic, Ichi, Steer, and again, these conversations are ones that we are already having at the moment. So yeah, that's kind of, I don't know how comprehensive that was, whether I can answer it. Anyone's got any more questions where I can dive into any more information. But yeah, like I said, we're really excited to get Flare up and running tomorrow. If anyone does go on OpenOcean now and can load it up, feel free, it is up there. But like I say, all the news announcements and release information will be coming tomorrow morning in that regard.
Yeah. So if the whole community dives in and they crash something, then, you know, it's not your fault. You told them not to go there.
Yeah, if like I say, if everyone tries and our Cloudflare like provider starts messaging us and it's like, hey guys, what's going on here? Why is there so much traffic on the RPC? No, it's like I say, with any launch, what we do is we roll it live to the front end. And we don't talk about it usually for a couple of days. It sits there, we do internal testing, and we then roll our prod version out. And once final version's out, then we hit all the marketing news.
Yeah. All right. Definitely looking forward to that. I'm probably gonna take a look.
Go for it. And like I say, if there are it's very easy for us to list new tokens and increase the availability. So like I say, if there are platforms with new tokens launching on Flare as well, please do reach out, because we can get those listed as a matter of importance.
Yeah. All right. I think that was quite a comprehensive overview. I'm sure people will be watching this and then questions will pop up in their head. But let's see if anyone asked any questions online. All right. So why Flare?
Yeah. So I could have just explained that, you know, we want to support. We could have just gone and supported one of the mainstream networks and called it a day. But I think there are plenty of reasons that different networks bring different things to the table. So far in our initial conversations with both the Flare team, we kind of got the feeling that there is an incredibly strong. Not only is there an incredibly strong community behind Flare, which by the way we love to tap into. You know, I think tapping into extremely strong communities is great, not only from an onboarding more community members perspective, but in terms of, you know, really getting an ear on the ground with a lot of other ecosystems. With, you know, I would say with, when you increase the amount of people in the ecosystem, you also increase the amount of noise. So hearing the kind of ear to the ground on what's going on is always really good for us. And ideally, what we want to bring to the table is availability, openness, democratizing liquidity access. Especially, you know, when we launch on a chain, we always find that there might be, let's say, one DEX which is prominent on that chain, and then there are a few others. What we help to do is kind of bring the DEXs kind of more in parity. So we hope to increase the utilization on maybe the slightly less popular ones, whilst also supporting the most popular one on chain. So that's essentially what we want to bring to the table: openness, access, and yeah, cohesiveness, and like I say, availability of toolset. We want Flare to be much like our other networks, where we use it as a not a testing ground, but a launch pad to kind of start new tools off. Obviously, in with any project, in the early days when you launch a new tool or a new DApp, you know, you want to make sure you do thorough testing and having a vocal community, you know, actively use and give you feedback about tools which are in ongoing development, is very beneficial. And obviously you can beta tag these kind of workflows, but with a really receptive community, I think having that feedback is vitally important. So yes, it was about the choice of access, and like I say, the initial decision really came from the very early days. Like I say, when we were contacted, it's like the inbox that we get is absolutely rammed full of people being like, hey, come and launch on us, come and launch on us. And what I got from Max, like the kind of vision that he painted and where he wanted Flare to go, it kind of gelled with me much more than I would say than a lot of other networks who approached us. And then I kind of rolled that out to my team, and that kind of sympathy was shared. So, you know, we kept the ball rolling, and we are where we are now. So yeah, it's always, you know, I would say give it 3 or 4 weeks. I would love to revisit this question and have a whole bunch more answers for you, mostly because we are still in the very early process of, like I say, having these conversations with different platforms. So you know, if we could do this again at some point in like a month's time and say, what do we want to bring to the table, we can outline like, hey, we're now working on XYZ with these partners. And yeah, I would love to be able to say so much more right now, but yeah, it's still very early days, but we're excited. Yeah, so that's kind of hopefully encompasses why.
All right. Yeah, we can definitely invite you again at some later point as well, so that we can look at
maybe not so soon, maybe a little pad it out a little bit, but yeah, I would love to come, like I say.
Probably. Yeah, that's development for you. You say a month, and it turns out that a month actually means like half a year in development terms. But that is
a month would be like the here's what we intend to do, and then like you're like, we'll plan for 2 or 3 months, and then like 6 months later you're like, it's launched.
Yeah.
So
we're early.
Yeah, we're early. It didn't take us a year, so
exactly. All right. Are there any more questions? Yeah. What unique value position does OpenOcean offer compared to other DEXs, like in Osys and Spark DEX?
Yeah. So yeah, we kind of touched on this. We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I'll just kind of reiterate. You know, it's like when you use an individual DEX, you are subject to the slippage for any single liquidity pool, whether or not they're using a combined router for their liquidity pools. When you're using an aggregator like OpenOcean, you can use both Enosys and Spark DEX at the same time. So whether it's a large swap, a small swap, or whether it's something like, you know, like a feature that we hope to bring in the future, like a streaming swap, what you essentially do is you're always getting the best price conditions for that particular trade. So if, let's say on Spark DEX, you go and trade, I don't know, $5,000 of a blue chip asset every single day of the week, right? And then on the last day of the week, on Sunday, that specific asset, one whale has withdrawn 90% of the liquidity. But you're like, no, I've been doing this every other day. So I hit trade, but I get like, I don't know, 10% slippage or something, 8% slippage. I'm instantly lost out on that trade. Whereas if you would have set up a streaming swap through an aggregator, it would have gone, oh, hold on, we're not getting very good returns for this user's transaction. Let's just switch to the other DEX. So that's where the kind of usability kicks in. It's I always use the comparison of like car insurance. Like barely anyone goes, I'm just going to go to one company and say, yeah, what's your car insurance price? Done, sold. You don't, you shop around. It's the same thing with houses. It's the same thing with anything. You're buying a new laptop, you go to whoever sells that the cheapest. And it's the same thing with a DEX aggregator. We go to wherever the best trade is. It's just kind of looking at it in a different way.
Yeah. I wish you had been here like 6 months ago when I was trying to do some like arbitrage, and I had like 3 DEXs open and pools, and to see like which one would get me the best price.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Definitely.
No, it's super frustrating. And yeah, I've totally experienced that before. I've gone on to like tiny networks with like sub 2 million in TVL, and the experience of using it is actually, you have to make sure you don't trade more than a certain amount, because you're going to upset the liquidity pools, and you just have to dance around different dApps, and it's not fun. It ruins the UX, and it's not good. So that's what we're trying to solve, and that's the value proposition at the end of the day.
Yeah. All right. More questions?
Go for it.
Oh, well,
Oh,
all right.
that's
Not a lot of questions, but I think that will come, especially after tomorrow when you go live. Was it
yes,
tomorrow?
yeah. So,
Yeah.
like I say, tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is when we roll all the announcements. Tomorrow is when we roll the Medium article, the Twitter thread. When we release the, so we have a PR release going out as well. I believe hits tomorrow evening. All the community announcements via Telegram, via CoinMarketCap, via Discord, that all goes out tomorrow as well. So that's when we're doing the big announcement push. So yes, it is live now, but the version that's on the front end isn't the final version, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, then I think most of the questions will come tomorrow, and from then on. So looking forward
And
to that.
I will make sure that I'm visible in, like I say, the Flare ecosystem decks. So that, and if anyone's got any questions, and it makes sense for me to jump into the Scepter one as well. So I'll be
Yeah.
around if anyone wants to ask anything, whether it's about like adding tokens or like, hey, this button doesn't work, which hopefully shouldn't be an issue. I'll be around and available.
Really great. Okay, Guy, thank you for joining us today. Thanks for showing OpenOcean, and I at least personally, I'm really looking forward to adding this to my usual set of apps for Flare. And yeah, welcome back another time when you've had the chance to integrate with a lot of Flare partners.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, mate. And like I said, I would absolutely love to come back on here and be able to show off what we've done and just be like, yeah, like we got this awesome new router up, and yeah, DCA tools live and things like this. So it's that would be really great. And I will also want to double down and saying that if anybody is thinking of building, or anybody in the community, is either confused at how to use our tools, or wants some further clarity on maybe the best workflows to use for our API, like just reach out. Like we're a 24/7 team. We are quite small, but we're personable, so it means you can talk directly to us. You don't have to fight through layers of customer service bots or whatever. So yeah, come and give us a chat. Like I say, we're builders as well, but we also use our products that we build. So UX is kind of in our wheelhouse. That's the only message I just wanted to drop to the Flare community and to the OpenOcean community listening as well.
Cool. Thank you very much. I want to thank also all the people who came to view us, listen in, and hopefully who will be trying out OpenOcean tomorrow or the day after. And I hope to see you all next time.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the invite, Lex.